Okay, let's go over our requirements for a professional email assignment for week 4. So the instructions are right here. Using everything that we learned in our lesson this week about email etiquette, I want you to send me an email, a professional email, using all of those guidelines. The topic can be anything class related, and you can even make something up if you want to. So make up a question or a comment or whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't care so much as what the message is as if you can compose a professional email following all the guidelines that we've learned this week. There's nothing to turn in or to upload in Blackboard this week. You're just going to email me this assignment. I'm going to grade that email. If there is any feedback, I can just respond to that email and reply to you. And then I'm going to manually post your grade into Blackboard for this. So let's go over the email etiquette again. This is from our lesson this week. You want to use this on every single email that you send out on this campus. If it's another student, if it's a professor, if it's your advisor, doesn't matter who it is. You always need to use these guidelines. I surveyed the faculty in the summer of 2016 to see what they thought our students were lacking in, and this was one of the biggest things that they commented on, that they do not know how to professionally email somebody. And I've seen it a lot with my students too. So I want you to follow these guidelines so that you will have that professional image in your professor's mind, that they know that you can send a professional email. And if it includes all of this information, that will help them answer your questions whenever you do email them something. So what do we need to do? Always email from your A-State email account. A lot of times if you have a Yahoo account or Gmail or what have you, your name might be different on that, or it might go to our spam or our junk mail instead of coming to our inbox. So to ensure that we get it, email from your A-State email account. Your subject line has to be a professional, proper subject line. And I'll just tell you from my own experience, I teach 4 online classes each semester, and 2 of those classes are both a critical thinking class. So if you just say critical thinking in the subject line, I don't know which critical thinking. I have 2 sections. Tell me the CRN number or tell me which section it is. If you just email me and don't even tell me which class you're in, I have no idea how to answer your question because I don't know which class you're in. I have over 100 students. So the subject line can help us get that information across to our professors. Include the course number. So in this example for this class, it would be UC 1013 Making Connections Online, Spring 2017. And you might even include the CRN number. Like I said, I have 2 sections of some of my classes, so that way they'll know without a doubt which class you're in, and that way they'll be able to help you instead of having to email you back and say, which class are you in, and wait on you to respond, and then they can go in and help you. It just helps it be that much more efficient. Number 3, make sure you use their appropriate title in their greeting. So a lot of our professors here on campus they have their doctorate degree. You'll be able to tell if they do or not because they'll have a PhD behind their name. So if you're not sure, ask them so you know how to address them correctly. But a lot of times in their About the Instructor section on Blackboard, they'll tell you if they are or not. You need to find out if they have their doctorate degree because they've earned that title, and you need to address them as that when you talk to them or send them an email. If not, you need to use another formal title like Mr., Ms., Mrs. If, again, they have the PhD or EDD after their name, they have their doctorate, and you should use doctor. In my case, I still get tons of emails where they call me Dr. Bracey, and while that's flattering, I have not earned my doctorate. I have my MBA, my master's degree. So in my case, I would be Mrs. Bracey. So you would use their appropriate title and then their last name. So in your greeting, which you should have an appropriate greeting, the very first thing in the body of the email, you would say hello, comma, title, last name. Example, hello, comma, Dr. Smith. Hello, comma, Mrs. Bracey. That would be the appropriate greeting. Don't just go straight into, I have a question, help me do this, 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 and this. Greet them first. That's just a professional courtesy. In the body of the email, you need to type it out in a professional way. Don't type it like you're texting your friend. You need to spell everything out. Don't use those text abbreviations or anything like that. Don't use emojis a lot. I mean, again, we're trying to project a professional image. So try to make it professional. Use proper grammar. Capitalize what needs to be capitalized. Don't misspell words. Use correct punctuation. Sorry about that. Always use spell check before you send it. That way it will catch any mistakes before you send it, because if it's sloppy and it's not punctuated correctly, there's incorrect grammar, there's misspelled words, it just makes you look unprofessional. It will make your faculty member that reads it irritated because they're thinking of all the errors that are there before they even get to your question part. So make it more formal than texting your friend, and be respectful in your tone. We get a lot of students that are upset about grades. They might have had a technical issue and they couldn't access something. And I understand stuff like that happens, and it is irritating when it happens. But the faculty, it's not their fault. Be respectful in your tone when you email them. That's very important. If you go at them and you come at them in an unprofessional manner, or you're negative or rude in any way, I promise you, you're probably not going to get the answer that you want. So be respectful. And be clear in your wording. Be concise. Make sure that whatever you're thinking or whatever your question is clear. But don't go into too much detail, because one advantage of email is to be quick and efficient in your communication. So if it's something that's really detailed, you might pick up the phone and call them instead. But remember, email is supposed to be quick and efficient, so try to keep it concise, but be clear as well. And then you also need to use a closing. Don't just finish your email in the body and then send it without closing in some way. And I know if you've ever taken a typing class, you know what a closing is. Sincerely, thank you, something like that would be a closing. So you could put thank you, comma, and then you're going to type your name out, or sincerely, comma. Whatever you decide to use as your greeting, or your closing, make sure that you put that in there. And then you need to put your entire name at the bottom and your student ID number. I've had so many students this semester that have had name changes, either from divorce or marriage or what have you, and I get really confused if it's not processed to ASU yet and their name is showing up in my roster and in Blackboard as one thing, but then they sign their email as a different name. It gets really confusing. Including your ID number can help eliminate some of that confusion. So let's look at two examples here. Here's a professional email. The subject line is professional. It's very thorough. I can tell immediately what class the student is in. We have an appropriate greeting. Hi, Miss Bracy. It's punctuated correctly. And then in the body, it's very thorough. I can tell clearly what they're asking, but they don't go into so much detail that it's 5 pages long. There's no slang in there. There's no abbreviations. It's not like they're sending a text to their friend. We have appropriate closing, thanks a bunch. And then we have a complete name, first and last name, and their ID number. So this is a really good professional email. Here's one that's not professional. Subject line reads question. That leaves so many questions for me. What class are you in? You know, Johnny, there's no last name, there's no ID, so I can't even look up what class they're in because I don't have all the information to do that. Hey is not an appropriate greeting. That's not very professional. And then, could you tell me about the quiz? I'm having trouble taking it. The punctuation, the misspelled words, the capitalization, the abbreviation of you, this is all just inappropriate on so many levels. So again, what quiz? I'm having trouble taking it. What kind of trouble? There's too many questions here. It's not clear enough to what's going on here. So what I'd have to do is, number one, email this student back and ask them what their last name is, what their ID number is, and what class they're talking about, what quiz they're talking about, and what trouble they're having. So we're wasting a lot of time going back and forth trying to answer all these questions, when if they could format the email correctly the first time, we wouldn't have to go through all that back and forth. I could just answer the question and be done with it. So I want you to use all of these things every time you send an email here on campus, but also when you do our activity for this week, when you email me. So again, if you click on this, there's nothing to upload here. You can view the rubric if you want to see where you're going to get your points. I want you to have a good subject line. You can get up to 5 points on that. I want you to have a clear, concise message, up to 5 points for that. A proper greeting and closing, you can earn up to 5 points on that. A professional tone, you can earn up to 5 points on that. And then proper grammar, punctuation, capitalization, spelling, all of that, you can earn up to 5 points. So this is up for a total of 25 points. But again, you're not submitting anything in Blackboard. You're sending me an email from your student email account, and that's what I will grade and post your grade into Blackboard. And if you have any questions on this, just give me an email and I'll try to answer it. But email me using those guidelines.